Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to talk about an amazing package for LaTeX called latexdiff. latexdiff allows you to track changes between two LaTeX files that you have created. latexdiff comes very handy when you have to submit your paper again to a journal and they ask you to highlight track changes because they want to see what you have changed and how you have addressed the reviewer's comment. latexdiff in this way is fantastic because it allows you with a simple command to highlight all the track changes so you can upload back again the paper to the journal without having to worry about. Word has already this system embedded in it, so you can just use track changes. In LaTeX is not as straightforward as in Word, but in this video I will show you how to use latexdiff and you will see that it's fantastic and it's super simple to get started with. So at the end of the video I'm going to show you a special tip which is going to be amazing, so don't miss that out and just watch the full video. So what do we need to do? Well, the first thing in order to use latexdiff is of course install it on our computer. You can check if you have latexdiff already installed with your distribution of LaTeX by using this command here. So I'm in the terminal here, latexdiff, and then I can type -h. This is going to print the help of the package and is showing us that we have the package installed. Another way to check if you have the package installed is to open your distribution of LaTeX. If you don't have it installed, well, you can just open the LaTeX console. In my case, I'm using MikTeX, and then I can go in Packages, here, and then I can click here, latexdiff, press Enter, and then here I can see that I have latexdiff already installed. If you don't have it, you can just press on the plus sign and install it on your computer. Of course, if you're not using MikTeX but TextLive, you can still install it on your computer, just follow the instruction. latexdiff is a Perl script, so in order to run latexdiff, you are going to need also Perl installed on your computer. That also can be installed very simply by just going on Google. We can just search for strawberry Perl here. We can click here for Windows because I'm currently on a Windows machine, and then I can click here on the 64-bit version and then open the file and install it on my computer. But I have already Perl installed on my computer, so I'm not going to install it again. Now that you have both Perl and latexdiff installed on your computer, we can start using it. On the left side, you can see my project directory, which is currently inside the downloads folder. You can see that I have the main.txt file, and I have a section, and then I have the main.pdf file. So here I have my paper with some references, sections, background, and introduction. And here on the left side, I have the main.txt file. I'm going to use VS Code in this tutorial. If you want to learn how to use VS Code, I have already a video uploaded on YouTube on how to get started with VS Code both in Windows and on Mac. So check those videos out if you would like to install it on your computer. Otherwise, you can use any other LaTeX compiler. So here, as I said, I have this main.txt file. This was the previous version of the paper that we have uploaded to the journal. So let me right-click here, copy, right-click here, paste. This new file, we can call it in any way. However, just keep in mind that you cannot have spaces in the name of the file. We're going to call it revision. Okay, so now we have our file. Let's make some changes because our supervisor or the reviewers want us to change the document. So here in the section introduction, we're going to do the first change. And then we're also going to make some change here in the abstract. We can say change in the abstract. Okay, so we have changed the document here and we have changed the document here. Let's use now latexdiff to highlight all the differences in the document. That's super simple. We go here in the terminal. Just keep in mind that if you're using, as me, you're using VS Code, keep in mind that you have to be inside the command line of Windows, not inside PowerShell. If you write this command inside PowerShell, it's going to output a file that cannot be read by the LaTeX compiler. So if you want to switch between PowerShell and other command line, just click here on this arrow here and then command prompt. So what do we need to write to create the file which will contain all the differences is the following. So in the command line, we can go here at the bottom and we can say latexdiff, and then we specify the name of the file, which is the old file, the original file that we originally submitted to the journal, for example, which was the original version. Then we're going to say revision, and then we can say revision.text, which is the file containing the changes which we have made to the document. And then we have to say greater than, and then we say diff.text. I run this command by pressing enter, and here at the top you will see that I have a new file called diff.text. This file will contain all the changes that we have made, and this is a file that LaTeX can read and can compile your document and highlight all the changes. As you can see here, we have some strange command that we are usually not familiar, but this is going to highlight that this is a new change to the document. We just have to go here in VS Code, we just have to press on play, and then we are going to compile this file, and then we are going to see it compiled here as a PDF. So I go on this side of the screen, I press on diff.pdf, and this is going to load our PDF. And as you can see, we have some changes in the abstract and some changes here at the bottom. Let me show you also what happens if you remove some text. So we can go back to the revision.text file here. We can actually change some part of the introduction. So let me remove these two sentences here. And then we run the command again here in the terminal. So I can press the arrow up, latexdiff main.text revision, and then greater than diff.text. So this is going to recompile the file. As you can see, for a second this file, the content of this file was cancelled, and here on the right side we can see that the file will be automatically recompiled by VS Code. If it's not automatically recompiled, you can just press here on the play button, and this is going to recompile the file for us. And this is basically what you need. So now you can upload your PDF with the track changes to the journal. Of course, you can also change a bit how the track changes are shown. And this is very well explained on Overleaf on their page. I will show you later on. But basically, we can pass some additional input here, and then we can change how these track changes are visualized. So let me show you with an option. We can say -t, and then we can say C, and then we say traditional. Okay, so let me recompile the document. So let me recreate the document. This is recreated the document. VS Code is going to compile the document for me, and you will see that now the changes are marked slightly differently. So VS Code is still compiling the document, so let's give it a second. And now, as you can see, all the text that is removed is actually added to the footnote. This I think is great because the document is clean. We can clearly see where the text was changed. We can see the additions, but then we don't have all that text in red, which was very highlighted before, but we have all the text that was removed here at the bottom. Of course, you can change that, and you can also change different other ways. So we can say instead of traditional, we say C font, and this again is going to be a different style of showing our document. And here online, you can see different other options. So you have underline, you have traditional, C traditional, C font, font strike, and change bar. I will let you choose which one or of the style that you prefer. So let's go back to our document because I want to show you a couple of more things which I think are fantastic. Okay? So the first thing that I want to show you, which I think is very important, is how to handle files which are included inside our LaTeX document. Let me show you what I mean. Here in our main.text file, we're actually using this command here, which is input section. This input command gets the content that is inside this section file here, and then is added to the main.text file. This is great, and I think it's a very nice way of compartmentalizing your paper. However, it has a drawback, because if you don't say anything to latexdiff, then it will not include all the changes to that section. And let me show you. So here we have section.text. Let me do copy, and then I do paste here, and then I can say section, and then we call it underscore revision. Okay, we're going to change something here, and then in the revision.txt file we're going to import the new file, which is not going to be section, but it's going to be section.revision. We don't need to specify the extension of the file. If you go back and we see latexdiff, let's remove this option of the font, which we don't care at the moment. We see latexdiff main.txt, then we see revision.txt, and the output is diff.txt. If we run this command here, we are expecting, because we made some changes to this section here, so this code here, that we can see the changes also reflected in our PDF, and we can track those changes. But let me show you that unfortunately is not the case. So here we can see the changes in introduction, but then we have these additional sections which we are importing both in main and in revision. But as you can see here, there is the change something here, but this change is not highlighted. How to fix this problem? Well, to fix this problem is pretty straightforward. So we have to pass the option that is flatten. So we have to say double dash, and then we say flatten with the flatten, and then we have to keep the command similar as before. So we just run this command here. This will flatten our document, and now we will be able to see this change here also tracked in our document as we want it to be. So let's wait that this document gets recompiled. And now, as we are expecting, we can see that this change is also highlighted, and this is the behavior that we want. However, as you can see, it is becoming a bit cumbersome, because if we have multiple sections that we are importing, and usually I have my main file, and then I'm importing the introduction, the methodology, and everything, then we have a lot of duplicates file, because here we have the main.txt file, and then we have for each section we have to create a new file which is a copy of the original file, but then call it revision. That becomes a bit cumbersome and not very nice to keep track of. So now I'm going to show you a tip which is going to change the way that you use latexdiff, and I think is great. Okay? And let me know in the video section below if you didn't understand what I'm doing, and let me know if you have any comment or if you like the video. Okay? Let me show you how to handle this. The first thing that we need to do is that we have to go and start from scratch again. I want to show you that I'm going to delete all the files, and I want to start with a blank project as it was before. So I go inside here, inside downloads, I delete all the files that I don't need. So I'm going to delete this section.revision. I'm going to delete all these files that are related to the diff document. I'm just going to keep basically only the main file that we need. So we need the main bibliography, we just need the main.txt file, and then we need the image. We don't need all this revision file here, but we need the section. So now we have a simple project as we started. Now we can go back here. Of course, all these files no longer exist, so we can close them all. Here we can open the main.txt file, we can compile it, and then VS Code is going to create the PDF for us, which we can drag it here on this side, and then we can visualize the PDF. Okay, so this is our document. This time, instead of creating a new text file inside the same folder, we're going to create a new complete folder where we're going to keep the same file that we had at the beginning, and then we're going to update those files. And that is going to be much easier, because in that way we can just have to change those files and we don't need to create copy of them all. Okay, so let's go back to our download folder. So here I'm going to get this file here, Control copy, Control V, and then we're going to call this folder here, we're going to call it revision. Okay, so now we have latexdiff, which has just the main file to compile our document, and we have latexdiff revision. Let me go back in VS Code. Here I can say File, Open Folder, and then I'm going to open latexdiff revision. So now I'm looking at the revision part, but as you can see, I don't have to change all the name of the file. I can just make the changes to the files. So let me go back in main here, and let me change something. I'm going to write my name here in the introduction, so let's remember that. I'm going to change and cancel all this line of the abstract. Okay, and I'm also going to change something in the section here. So I'm going to say here in the section, I say YouTube tutorial, and then I'm going to change and delete this line here. Okay, and this is the great part. Now we just have to go inside this directory here. We can create a new file here called new file, and then this file we can call it as ever we want. I'm going to call it run_latexdiff. Again, just keep in mind that this file here has to be with no spaces, and then we're going to call it BAT. BAT is a file that we can run inside Windows by just clicking on it. Okay, what do we need to put inside? Inside we need to put this code here. Basically, you don't need to understand exactly what is inside this file, you just have to understand the first 3 lines here. So you have to specify the old path, which is latexdiff, which is here in download. So as you can see here, we have the old version of the document that was inside latexdiff. So let me actually move this one here. Then we have to set the new path, which is latexdiff_revision, and this is the new path that we have. And then we have to specify the name of the main text file that we want to compile, which in our case is main. No need to specify the extension. What this code is going to do for us all automatically is to flatten our document and create a new document which is called main_flat, both in the old path and in the new path, as you can see here and here. Then when you have the flattened document, then you can generate the differences, okay? And you can do that with this command here. No need to compile the document, or we can actually even do it. So this, you can keep it or remove this line here, up to you. This will actually compile the document also for you, so we don't even need to use VS Code, because PDF LaTeX is going to compile the document for you. As you can see here, we don't have the file, the end file, and this is going to generate also the end file for us. However, I just want to let you know that this line is not really necessary, because we can always compile the document ourselves. Okay, so if you just get any issue with this line here, just remove it. Then finally, it's going to clean up the flat files. And then we have the pause. Pause is just to show you all the things that are happening while we are running this file. However, again, that pause also can be deleted. So let me save this file with Ctrl S. Let me go here in the latexdiff revision folder. Now, as you can see here, I have run latexdiff. Let me run this file here, and you will see that here will appear also a PDF with all the track changes. So let me show you that. As you can see, it's generating the files, it's generating the diff file, it's compiling the diff file, and then it has created the PDF for us. So if I go here, diff.pdf, as you can see, we are going to be able to see the changes in the abstract, the changes in the introduction, and also the changes in the additional section. I think this is fantastic, because you just have to get your original folder, create a copy, create a bat file, which is a file that can run automatically on your Windows computer. Unfortunately, this will not work on Mac, but I think you can create a bash script and it's going to be practically the same. And then it's creating the difference file and is compiling the document for us. That's it. So you're going to be able to keep your directory always very well organized, and you're going to be able to do everything in just one go. I really hope you like this video. If you like this video, please consider liking my video and subscribing to my channel. It means a lot to me. Also, if you like this video, please consider writing a comment. Also write a comment if you had any questions. I've put all the code that I've used in this video down in the video description, okay? Or just message me if there is something that is not clear. If you like the type of content that I do and I release for free on YouTube, please also consider making a donation or buying me a coffee. You can do that by buying me a coffee or supporting me on Patreon. More information down in the video description. But if you don't want to do that, no worries. Thank you very much for watching and see you in the next video.